Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it? You already know. You like the intro? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. She's a what? She's a what? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. She's a torta with some bad habits. Bye. Bye. Órale, en el menudo está in a direct fashion, man. We're going to get straight into it. You see the thumbnail right there, so you already know what it is, man. But before we do, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Put your notification bell on all, so that way you're directed to the dope content that I'm bringing. Thank you, man. I highly appreciate all the support. Now, let's get to this, right? The angel of death in prison. Is there one? There's a whole lot of them, man. They come in different shapes, sizes, forms, and fashions, right? You never know who you're going to be sold up with. You never know who you're going to run into on that yarda, what their past is, what they're thinking that day. There's vatos that just wake up, give up, and say, fuck it, humps. I'm going to catch me one today. Today's body day. Today is body day, right? And there's no stopping him. Once a guy's mentality, who already has priors of killing, once he's set on a lifetime, it's on a lifetime, right? They're going to unalive somebody. And that's just the way it is. Well, there's a guy who I consider one of the angels of death incarcerated. His name is Jason Budrow, right? Now, Jason Budrow is not, he's not the type of character I would want to be sold with or even be around. Just based on this guy, you know, tends to catch body for body. But here's one thing I will say about this guy is he actually is saving taxpayers' money. He actually is going after unsavory characters, you know. So to some people, he's going to be viewed as a hero. To some people, he's going to be viewed as an avenging angel of death, someone who actually is handling their business on the yard, taking care of the trash, right? Taking care of the undesirables. So anyways, Jason Budrow was convicted a while back, man, of the strangulation of his old lady. Now, domestic violence happens. Things happen. You know, it's never a good look to be beating up on a woman. It's never a good look to have them type of criminal charges. But at the same time, it is what it is, you know. Sometimes they're crimes of passion. Sometimes the lady, you know, your lady's just a trip, eh? You know, she just oversteps her boundaries or does too much. And in a world of equality, when everybody wants to be equal and nobody knows what the fuck they are, you know, shit happens. So anyways, he gets convicted ultimately of strangling his old lady. Well, here's the kicker of the story, the cold part. You know, about, I think it was a couple years ago, he's actually functioning at Mule Creek Prison. Mule Creek Prison being an SNY yard. He's there doing his thing. You know, he's around a whole bunch of undesirables. He's around a whole bunch of people who have bad cases or are there for one reason or another, whether it's dropping out of a gang, telling on someone, catching weird cases. Whatever the case may be, he finds himself there. Now, you could only understand with his charges, with his attitude and what he was locked up for, you know, his homeboys weren't going to let that ride. You know, he's a white guy. The Woods don't let that go. You know, you can't go. See, back in the days, you can go into prison with domestic violence. It was all good in the hood. But now a lot of these prison gangs and a lot of these groups don't allow people with domestic violent cases to function, because that's basically beating up on a woman or beating up on you know, someone. You know, if it's different, if it's someone within your own family member, because you can catch a domestic violence for beating up your own brother. That's facts. You know, if you guys are living together, everything's cool. You guys get in an argument over pistol. You guys are drunk. You fuck your brother up or he fucks you up and you catch a DV case, then it is what it is. According to your paperwork, you know, you can be cleared and can function on that yard in the general population. But if you got a case of, you know, savagely beating up your old lady, and this is not your first time, you got priors, more than likely, Holmes, your group is not going to want you to be involved in the reindeer games. Nah, they're gonna kick you up out of there. You're going to have to go. So a lot of these guys already know what time it is. So they just check in from the gate, man. They check in to go protective custody, because they already know that if they hit these yards, man, they're probably going to be removed. It's probably going to be an ugly situation. Anyways, Jason Budrow is one of them guys that decided to check in, go to the other side to the SNY yards. But that doesn't mean he still didn't have that killer mentality. That doesn't mean he still wasn't hunting for people who he felt weren't on his level. So a couple years back, man, he actually catches a big case, a murder, an in-house murder. And most of the time, man, if you catch one of these on the yard, you know, you're going to be charged. You're not going to get the death penalty depending on the nature of the murder. It's just going to be another day in paradise, another day in prison, man. It happens all the time. Okay, so the guy he's accused of killing, or allegedly that he killed, was a guy by the name of Roger Kibbe. Now, Roger Kibbe, what makes Roger Kibbe so notorious is he's actually known as the I-5 Strangler. So what allegedly Jason Budrow was able to do was to manipulate staff, manipulate people into getting Roger Kibbe into his cell, getting celled up with him. Upon being celled up with him, not even 30 minutes later, he allegedly strangles Roger Kibbe in his cell and kills him. Okay, Roger Kibbe was an older gentleman, but had been in there, and the kicker is he had been in there, known as the I-5 Strangler, for strangling several women and young girls. You know, so it was only a matter of time before his karma caught up to him, and his karma caught up to him in the form of the angel of death in prison, Jason Budrow. So that was Jason Budrow's first body, or second body, actually, you know, allegedly. So he chokes this guy out. 30 minutes later, the cops come. They notice he's done. It's a wrap. They get his cellie. Done. He goes and does his whole time and gets a transfer. Now, if you catch a case in a prison, more than likely they're not going to release you back to the same yard. You pose a safety threat to, you know, to the security of that prison, they're going to get rid of you. So they transferred this guy to Coalinga, California, Pleasant Valley, right? Now, Pleasant Valley does have general population yards, but at the same time, it also has SNY yards. So they send this guy to an SNY yard. Well, upon getting there, there's a guy that's already sitting there who was just recently convicted last year, Paul Flores. Now, if you don't know the name Paul Flores is a notorious name associated with the murder of Kristin Smart, which was a big case that went national a long time ago, man, over 20-something years ago. Kristin Smart went to Cal Poly. I guess Paul Flores was another student there at Cal Poly. She went missing. Her family made, you know, a big, very, very big deal out of it. Who wouldn't? And it was just a big case. You know, they ultimately did find her body. She got killed. And then they finally had enough evidence to convict somebody. And the guy they convicted was Paul Flores. So he was convicted, you know, of this killing of Kristin Smart, which again, like I said, made national news. That would make him a trophy. Now, let me explain to you what trophies are in prison. Anybody who has a big case that's well known, who's an actor, who's a singer, a rapper, you know, someone who, you know, people feel some type of way that if they catch that body, if they do something to this guy, they're going to get some type of respect or earn some stripes. There's a lot of guys that go in there that have feria, that fly under the radar, man. There's a lot of guys that go in there that are nationally known, that are able to kick it and no one fucks with them just because of the nature of their crime, or, you know, they got wiggle room. You know, there's a lot of rappers like Suge Knight back in the days used to function on the general population yards. He's now no longer on those general population yards because of his celebrity. But back in the days, he used to be on general population yards and function all the time. And it was all good in the hood because most people didn't want that smoke with them. And second of all, he was what was considered a gangster, man. He was just able to walk the yard. His homeboys embraced him, showed him love, the household, you know, it was all love. But a lot of these celebrities can't go to these main lines. A lot of them are PC'd up right from the gate. And it's not because they ask or they choose to be. It's because it's what's in the best interest of the institution, first and foremost, and of course, their safety concern. A lot of these guys got safety concerns because people know they got feria. People know how they are. If they get, you know, on a general population yard, there's rules and regulations and politics you have to adhere to. And it doesn't matter what group you're from. People are going to be lurking in the bushes on you. They're going to be trying to get what you have out of your box into their box. That's just how it is. That's prison. I'm sorry, man. It's a dog eat dog world. It's not a predator world, but it's to the point where if you can be a victim, you will be a victim. Facts. So this guy Paul Flores the other day in Pleasant Valley, man, gets slashed, right? Of course, he's recovered from these slash wounds. He was in not critical condition, but it wasn't fair condition, right? Guard, was it? It wasn't. He definitely was, you know, it was almost catastrophic. So what happens is, I guess a couple mornings ago, you know, Jason Budrow, the alleged attacker, once again, the angel of death of prison, happens to see Paul Flores and catches him in between now this is all allegedly because this is still an ongoing case, but he catches him in between medical and the yard, and officer actually witnessed all he seen was Paul Flores' body fall. Of course, they went over there, shut the yard down. A little while later, they catch Jason Budrow with the inmate manufactured weapon, a slashing device, you know, RV, a razor, a tomahawk. He admits it's on him. He immediately gets placed in administrative segregation. My fucking vocabulary is fucked up this morning. It's like, yeah, I hate when I have to go to work, eh? I can't even talk in the morning. It's all fucked up. My mind's over here. I'm welding anyways, look. So the Vato goes to the ad seg, right? And then, of course, a couple of days later, the district attorney of the county decides to charge him with an attempted murder. Now, this is his second one. You know, he caught a body already. You know, he caught the time on that. And now he's going for another one. It seems like this guy has a pattern, or an alleged pattern, right? The pattern is either he likes these trophies, these people who have these big cases. He wants to be the one to take them off the map, or, you know, he has something against people who do things to women. You know, and it's odd. Think about it. It's pretty odd. For someone who's actually incarcerated for the strangulation of his lady to be killing other gentlemen or attempting to kill them that are actually incarcerated for pretty much the same things, that could only lead me to believe two things. Now, I'm not no fucking psychologist or a doctor, so I can't prescribe medical shit, but I do have a perspective on it. My perspective on it is this, and you tell me if I'm right or if I'm way off. You know, sometimes when people are incarcerated for something, or they have some remorse for something, or something that they fucked up and they can't shake it, you know, something like strangling your lady and catching 25 to life would do that to you, right? Maybe he's being remorseful or showing his remorse by acting out towards other people who do the same crimes. Maybe he feels that that's going to alleviate his guilt in the situation he's in by taking out these other characters that have pretty much done the same thing. Maybe he feels like, I'm the only motherfucker on this yacht that can strangle girls. Fuck you, right? So he's going to do that. Or maybe he's just an avenging, you know, someone who wants to avenge, a vigilante, someone within prison that sees trash, sees people who he considers no good, and decides that he's going to be the one to take them out. Now, one thing happens when you catch life, when you're no longer eligible for parole, you don't got a date, homie, you're not going to see nothing, then another body doesn't mean too much. Okay? A little vacation in ad seg doesn't mean too much. A little shoe term isn't that unpleasant, especially when you want to go from place to place. Sometimes I've seen instances where people will get involved in something, do a removal or catch a body just because they want to be transferred more closer to where their family is. That's a hardship, homie. You know, they put in their hardship request. And what, for those of you that don't know, in prison, a hardship request is, you know, say someone in your family is sick, man, your mother, your father, brother or sister, immediate family usually. You want to get closer to them. You're way over here in Pelican Bay. You're from LA. You want to get closer. You can put in a hardship request to your counselor, and they're going to take it up before a hearing, and they're going to see if, you know, indeed, it's real, it's legit. And if you don't pose a safety concern to that other institution, you don't have enemies there, you're not on anyone's enemy list, then you could possibly be transferred, man. That's called a hardship transfer. They do it if you're sick. They do it if someone in your family is maybe dying or sick. This is the things that happen in prison. But it's a 50-50 thing, man. They're not always granted. Half the time they're going to tell you, no, fuck no. You know, you're here for a reason, and that's just what it is. And despensa la tira, you know, that's just it. You just have to deal with that, man. It's a cold game. You could have a mother, a jefita that's going through the motions, has cancer, you know, slowly dying, and you can't be close to her because, you know, you have an enemy over there that doesn't want you there. It's just as simple as that. So anyways, this guy, being on the SNY side, Jason Budrow, he happens to be in an area where there's going to be a lot of these guys, man. These guys who have these notorious cases, these guys that have these weird crimes or these unsavory crimes, man, that get locked up. He's going to have his buffet. He could pick and choose who he wants to hit. Now, as far as Paul Flores, you know, being the Kristin Smart killer, convicted, you know, it could have been something as simple as, you know, maybe they had a disagreement. Maybe he just didn't like the way his breath smelled. Maybe he didn't like, you know, the way every time he walked past his cell, the guy was on his tablet watching Wes Watson videos. I don't know. But at the end of the day, one thing I know for sure is this guy seems to have a pattern. So now what's going to happen is he's going to be an ad seg, man. He's going to go through the motions, and eventually he will be released back to another yard. Now, he's not on general population yards, because he would have been the one strangled, right? He's on these SNY yards, or these soft yards, whatever you want to call them. And he's definitely going to have his fill of others, you know. Will this stop? Now, I'm sure he's going to be watched, maybe segregated, put into a unit where they can monitor him just a little bit more. This is what happens. But it's not like he's the only one. There's guys on them yards right now that have 6, 7 bodies. People that catch one every other year, you know what I mean, for their anniversary. You know what, Doctor, So today is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get up in the morning. I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna bird bath. After I'm done bird bathing, I'm gonna get my sack lunch. I'm gonna eat my apple. Then I'm gonna go. I'll kill my celly, and then I'm gonna go. Just like that, like it's nothing. To us, we're like, well, hold up, rewind. In between apple and going to the yard, what'd you do? I bird bath. No, No, motherfucker, you killed your celly, allegedly. These are the type of things that happen every day. It's not a laughing matter, because at the end of the day, man, there's families that are suffering, going through the motions right now because, their loved one is either dead or slashed up. But at the end of the day, prison is prison, and prison will be all that every day of the day, every day of the week. And that's just it. So anyways, man, this guy is definitely not someone you would want to be celled up with. Jason Budrow, this is definitely a guy who's kind of off his rocker. As you can see, the tattoo 666 on his face. He has been known to have them beliefs. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, he leans more towards the evil side of things. He's definitely displaying them characteristics. I don't know if he's making blood sacrifices on them yard. That's what I'm saying. You run into a lot of different characters in prison. I've seen vatos in the middle of the yard chanting and shit. Shaka like a high shit, make it like a high, make a high ho. I've seen vatos getting their suntan on. Like, look at this baboso. What does he think this is? Malibu, I say? Malibu's most wanted. I've seen vatos in there that hadn't spoke for 20 years, just walk like this. And I've seen motherfuckers in a corner doing some bad shit. There's just a lot of things that happen in prison. There's a lot of movement and a lot of wigglization. But this guy, Jason Budrow, definitely is one to be monitored closely. Now these guys that he's actually hitting, allegedly, like I said, most people would say, who cares? He's a hero. He's a vigilante. He did that. I'm sure the families of the victims that these guys killed aren't mad. I'm sure they're not upset. But you also got to remember that every man has a family. Every man has people that love him. Regardless of what they're incarcerated for, regardless of what they do, their family shouldn't suffer for that. But prison is prison. That goes to show you that these SNY yards, these protected custody yards, ultimately, you really cannot be protected. Ultimately, prison is prison. Doesn't matter where you go, man. A lot of these guys that are on these SNY yards now are in these protective custody housing units. They're not there because they're punks or they're scared. A lot of them are there because, the institution placed them there. Or, there was one safety concern or another. I've seen a guy get placed on a bad yard, because there was nowhere else to put him. Seemed like everywhere he went, he got 812, man. He had an enemy, someone on his enemy list. So, they put him on that yard and he caught a body immediately. It's just how it is. So we'll see how this all plays out for Jason Budrow. It's just an attempted murder. The guy who killed Kristin Smart didn't die, Paul Flores. But it was, definitely a situation where it was close. Anyways, with that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose, get everything that you want coming. I hope you enjoyed the content of the day. I do have something else coming later on. You know how I does it, because it won't stop, man. The continuous, constant threat on these yards are just fucking mind-blowing, man. Times have changed now where it doesn't matter where they put you. You can get God. That's it. With that being said, the mentality should be to go out there and work, man, and not prison. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue striving, struggle, strive for minds, man, and do what I got to do, man. The angel of death in prison, he's everywhere. Bang, bang.